So the list that I have for the following video is my 113th top numbers, and I was confused and I thought it was 123. So out of the 220 games that I own, I'm going to have to say I only have 113 that I've played. So the next numbers that you're going to see on the screen are going to be something different than what I'm saying. So my 113th would be 123. Not. So I'm going to put on the screen, editing wise, what number it is actually on my list. And I'll be stopping at One Deck Dungeon, which would be my 100. Spoilers! So, with that being said, enjoy my video. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Falcon Ash K. This is going to be my list of 120 games. Previously stated that I was going to do a Kickstarter list as well. Well, I've implemented the Kickstarter list onto this list, and also I'm going to give you my rating of the game and the Kickstarter rating of the game, and so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So before I do my 120, I do have 3 that were really low on the list. So starting at 123 was Starship Battles. This was a game I found on a video looking for Starfleet battles, and it was a few gentlemen sitting around, and you have it intrigued me. So I went to GameCrafter where they had it, purchased it, and the game is where you have a Sushi Go style or a drafting mechanism, and you have a deck of cards that have the bridge, cargo area, shields, and weapons, and you're drafting these cards to so many points that you can make your ship with, have it at your tableau, and then you're using chits that have numbers ranging from 1 to 4, and you're putting them underneath your hand to show the defensive strength of your ship and the attack value of your ship versus another person. Reveal it, and each player subtracts or adds that much damage to their ship, and then you're taking off cards from your ship itself to show battle damage, or putting down other chits to show how much damage that location has taken on your ship. It's a fast game. I like to play it more, but it's just has a weird mechanism to it. I give it a 5. Board Game Geek gave it a non-applicable, an NA. So that's what they gave it. 122. This is Lord of the Rings, the dice building game. The dice building game was made by WizKids to riff off the ideas of Quarriors. So you have a bag of dice, and you're using them to purchase other dice that are in the field, recruiting them for your task to go to Mordor and drop the ring into the fiery pit of the volcano. The AI system will reflect on how well you're doing and roll some dice. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It's just not that fun. I mean, it is if you can get over the gameplay style that you're playing Quarriors by yourself. It's cool. I give it a 6, which is the next highest I got for ratings. The Board Game Geek gave it a 5.55, and I played this a few times. It still has legs, but it's just not. You can't implement it into Quarriors easily, which I was hoping for. Next game on my list is 121. This is Wars, the trading card game. Cryptozoic created a game back in the day. They had the license for Star Wars, and the game, you have your own deck of cards that you're either playing the light side or the dark side. And in Wars, you're playing one of 4 factions. You can mix factions together if you wish. You're using the deck as both the energy resources to get the cards out, and if someone's attacking you, you're using that as damage. So you're taking cards out of the deck. And then when you reach 0 cards in your deck, you're out of the game. You are playing cards and locations on the table, either planet side or a planet itself to launch ships, or the planet side to have, bots or foot soldiers kind of thing, and you're battling back and forth. The energy that is created by the planets is what you can use to create your hand size to play your cards, and also your opponent is getting energy from what you've placed down, and you're getting energy from cards he's placed down. So I played it only once with the Brant of the Portal Game podcast, and he knew the old Star Wars game, but this had different rules to it that didn't seem the same as the old Star Wars. So they must have changed the rules on something. So now we get to 120. 120 is Yahtzee Steal the Deal. I gave it a 6. Board Game Geek gave it a 5.494. And so you are playing cards on the field, or on your tableau. You're rolling the Yahtzee dice, and you're matching those dice to the cards itself. If you match them correctly, you get that card. And at the end of the game, you total up how many cards you've won versus your opponent, you win. It's kind of like a roll for it mechanism. That's a whole different game I do not own, but it'd be cool if I did. Next is a 119. Hero Tech is a button-shy game that I backed on Kickstarter. You are supplying your superhero with equipment. You're using, since it's a button-shy game, you have so many cards, up to 18 to 20. And you're using the cards as resources to equip your superhero, more like a super spy, with equipment, and the first person to get 3, I believe, wins. I gave it a 6 for rating, and Board Game Geek gave it a non-accolable. Next on the roster at 118 is Zaxxon. This is a 1987 game that I still own. Board game where you're reliving the old Zaxxon video game, and you're using the ship as an extra planer, lifting it up and down to go over walls that are put out, using your dice to move and to shoot objects that are in your way. At the end of the maze, you battle Zaxxon. You have to get 3 hits into his torso, which back in the day I think it was his rocket launcher, and destroy him. I gave it a 6. Board Game Geek gave it a 5.391. Next on the list is 117. Postcard Dungeon. Postcard Dungeon is a cool game I backed on Kickstarter also. You are rolling 3 dice and allocating them to the 3 stages on top of a dungeon. The arrows will follow where the dice numbers will actually go to. You're using them as warriors, wizards, and thieves. But also affects the dungeon itself, so you can allocate whatever number you want from your dice, but it also reflects on what it's going to be doing in the dungeon. And then afterwards you're getting points, and then you can use those points to buy other accessories to go back into the dungeon and do it again with those added bonuses. I give it a 6. Board Game Geek Gave it a 5.532. 116. We got DC Comics Dice Masters Justice League. This was the third set that came out from WizKids for the Dice Masters series. Give you superheroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. Their point values changed drastically because of the set that came out previously, which was, well, before Yu-Gi-Oh! There was also the X-Men versus Avengers. Avengers versus X-Men, AVX. This was great. I'm sorry it's low on my list, but it's I don't know, it's just drifting off of whatever existed. But I do give it a 7. Board Game Geek gives it a 6.467. Then 115. This is the Awkward Family Photo movie line caption game. This is the same genre such as Dixit or Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity. The judge puts out a picture in the field that looks like an old family photo, but it's messed up in some way, and the other people are using movie quotes to best describe that picture. And then you shuffle up the cards, and then you say, oh, I like this caption, and then that person gets the point, and then you give that card to that person, and then the next person becomes the director. I think it's the director. And you keep continuing until I don't know how many rounds, and the person with the most cards wins. I gave it a 7, and Board Game Geek gives it a non-acclable again. Yep. Okay, so the next one on the list, 114. Tiny Epic Defenders. This is the first time that Tiny Epic Defenders came out. This is 2015. And it's a pandemic style game where you're putting out Capital City that's being attacked by other creatures that are coming towards it from other locations. There's 6 other locations that are around the city. You're using your meeple to go to different locations to stop those monsters from coming in. The deck that you're using turn by turn has monsters and also the player cards in it to tell who has that next turn. Again, it's like a pandemic. You're moving to locations to stop things from happening. You're trying to guess the cards that are coming up next. You have a major stack that has an epic foe that you'll be using every time you go through your deck. Take another card, put that to your deck, shuffle it up, and play that again. Keep using that deck over and over again until you get to the epic foe. You're taking damage to locations that you've placed, and if a location has taken too much damage, Capital City takes damage. And once Capital City reaches 0, game over. You've lost. The heroes themselves can take the damage to stop the locations around Capital City from taking damage, and then go to Capital City later on their turn and heal themselves up. It's a fantastic game. You'll see the second one later on my list, which is higher up. That was also a Kickstarter game that I backed. I give it a 7. Board Game Geek gives it a 6.023. Number 113 is Catan the Dice Game. I don't own Catan. I'd like to own Catan. Catan the Dice Game is a little portable job that you're using the dice to roll for resources, sheep, wood, stone, gold, and coal, something like that. And you have to use the dice that you've rolled as resources to build the roads on a predetermined, like a roll and write game. You're rolling the dice and you're writing on the places where you're trying to score the most after so many rounds. You total up how many points you've scored based on the road you've drawn on these little score pads. It does have a 2-player mode where you can also challenge your friend to score better points. The back of the sheet itself has a blank mode, or blank slots, that you're using to also further the game, or give the game more feet to play. I like it. Like I said, it's portable. I've played it many a times. I think I played it maybe, it says here, 6 times. So I give it a 7. Board Game Geek gives it a 5.621. On the list, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I'm gonna speed these along because I know people don't like the bottom half of lists until the higher up numbers. This is Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers deck building game, made also by Cryptozoic, and it's fantastic. It's the DC deck building game, but Lord of the Rings style. The Two Towers implements the walls because you're fighting at, I'll think of it, or I'll put it at the bottom, and you're stopping the orcs from coming in. The walls will either hinder you or give you some bonuses during the time that the cards come up. Being a deck building game, you have your starting character with their special ability, and you're drafting cards, not drafting cards, you're purchasing cards that are in the travel row, trade row. It's there you go, I bubbled it in. And you're adding more cards to your deck to stop the enemy. There's a stack of enemies that you're battling, and once you've defeated all the enemies, game over, you won. Or I think you get so many walls that are broken, then you lose. Fantastic. It gives that feel of Lord of the Rings, which if you're in the right mindset, you know the mechanisms reflect what's going on with the Helm's Deep, the battle at Helm's Deep. There you go. Alright, so I gave it a 7. Board Game Geek gives it a 5.876. Enchanters. This is a Kickstarter that I backed. You are playing, technically you're playing Diablo, the card game. If you're familiar with Diablo, the dungeon PC game, you are a hero going through a dungeon, and after defeating creatures, you have magical items that are dropping, and there's a prefix and suffix to your weapons. So, you start off with the Fist of Enchanting, and then you have, Short Sword of Poison, and so you're using the prefix and suffix as damage that you're doing to monsters that are coming towards the town. Defeating the monsters will give you points, and also while you're building your weapon to help you stop them, you're either adding defenses or adding damage onto a track. Certain ones you're stacking them on top of each other, and so your pluses for the attack and defense also keep going up the more you're adding on to your prefixes and suffixes. It's fantastic. I've played it so many times. I give it a 7. Board Game Geek gives it a 6.015. And last on the list, number 110, One Deck Dungeon, Forest of Shadows. This is the second standalone one deck dungeon, but you can also implement it to the one deck dungeon that you've had previously. You'll see it higher on my list. The one deck dungeon is fantastic. It's similar to Enchanters in a way. You're battling through a dungeon deck, and when you flip the deck over, you're breaking down doors, and there's monsters or items there, and you're rolling a set of dice based on your character stats. The dice will be placed on top of the slots, much like Elder Sign, and once those slots are filled, you either take damage or you're defeating that card. You can use the card in 3 different ways. Either as experience to level up your character, or use it as ability scores to give you more dice to roll later on. Or you can also use the cards as special abilities added on to your character. The skills and abilities will alter your dice rolls or something of that nature. So you're building your character as you're going through a dungeon. It's fantastic. It's another Diablo style game. Your idea of what you're going to use that monster or card or something of that nature for is pretty cool. You can also play a 2-player game. Your character statistics are lower because both of your players have lower leveled characters. So playing solo, you'll have a tougher character to go through the dungeon yourself. It's fantastic. It's an excellent add-on or standalone game. I gave it a 7, and the BGG gave it a 6.301. And that is going to be the first part of my video. Please stand by for the other halves of my videos. I'll be going through the next 109 109 games that I own, that I've ranked, and see what the Board Game Geek gave them. So, until next time. Hey folks, if you like this video, give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can find me at my Twitter account at FalconAsh or Facebook account at FalconAshK. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, or you can reach me at my email account at falconashes71@hotmail.com. See you real soon. Goodbye.